Chapter 1. The Storm's Fury. Elara Voss gripped the steering wheel of her battered old Jeep, her knuckles white against the cracked leather. The rain pounded the windshield like 1,000 tiny fists, blurring the narrow mountain road ahead. She had been driving for hours, fleeing the suffocating grip of the city, and the man who had shattered her world. Marcus, her ex-fiancé, with his polished smiles and hidden cruelties. The betrayal still burned in her chest, walking in on him with her best friend, their laughter echoing like a slap. "You're too broken for me, Elara," he'd sneered when she confronted him. "Always have been. That was 3 days ago. Now, at 28, with nothing but a duffel bag of clothes and a heart full of scars, she was heading to the remote town of Silver Ridge, nestled deep in the Cascade Mountains. Her late aunt had left her a small cabin there, a place Elara had visited as a child. It was her last refuge, a chance to heal from the emotional wreckage Marcus had left behind. But as the storm intensified, thunder cracking like gunfire overhead, doubt crept in. The GPS had lost signal miles back, and the road twisted like a serpent through the dense forest. A flash of lightning illuminated the trees, their branches clawing at the sky. Elara's breath hitched as something darted across the road. A shadow, massive and fleeting. She slammed on the brakes, the Jeep hydroplaning on the slick asphalt. Tires screeched and the world spun. The vehicle careened off the edge, plunging into a ditch with a bone-jarring thud. Pain exploded in her shoulder as her head snapped forward, the seatbelt biting into her skin. Dazed, Elara fumbled for the door handle, rain soaking her instantly as she stumbled out. The Jeep's headlights flickered weakly, casting eerie beams into the woods. That's when she saw it. A wolf, enormous and silver-furred, lying motionless a few yards away. Blood matted its side, a deep gash visible even in the dim light. Had she hit it? Guilt twisted in her gut. She wasn't an animal lover by trade. She worked as a freelance graphic designer back in the city. But leaving a creature to die felt wrong, especially after her own brush with abandonment. Approaching cautiously, Elara knelt beside the wolf. Its chest rose and fell in shallow breaths, golden eyes flickering open to meet hers. There was an intelligence there, a depth that sent a shiver down her spine unrelated to the cold. "Hey, big guy," she whispered, her voice trembling. "I'm not going to hurt you. Let me see if I can help." She reached out tentatively, her hand hovering over the wound. The wolf didn't growl or snap. Instead, it whimpered softly, almost like a plea. Elara tore a strip from her scarf, pressing it against the gash to stem the bleeding. The animal's fur was surprisingly soft, warm despite the downpour. As she worked, a strange calm washed over her, as if the storm itself had paused to watch. Minutes stretched into an eternity until headlights pierced the darkness. A truck pulled up, its engine rumbling like thunder. The door swung open, and a man stepped out, tall, broad-shouldered, with a presence that commanded the night. His dark hair was plastered to his forehead, and his jaw was set in a hard line, but his eyes, they were the same piercing gold as the wolf's. What the hell happened here? His voice was deep, gravelly, laced with an authority that made Elara's pulse quicken. I think I hit this wolf," she stammered, standing up. Water streamed down her face, mixing with the tears she hadn't realized were falling. "My car skidded off the road. Please, it's hurt bad." The man, Thorne Blackwood, though she didn't know his name yet, approached with predatory grace. He was dressed in a flannel shirt and jeans, both clinging to his muscular frame from the rain. His gaze flicked from her to the wolf, something unreadable flashing in his eyes. "You shouldn't be out here alone," he said, kneeling beside the animal. His hands moved with surprising gentleness, assessing the injury. Elara watched, transfixed. There was a raw power about him, like the forest itself had taken human form. "I was heading to Silver Ridge. My aunt's cabin." "Silver Ridge?" Thorne's head snapped up, his expression sharpening. "That's Packtown territory. Roads are treacherous this time of year." He hesitated, then scooped the wolf into his arms, as if it weighed nothing. The creature didn't protest, its head lolling against his chest. "Wait, you can't just take it," Elara protested. though exhaustion weakened her voice. "It needs a vet." Thorne's lips twitched in what might have been a grim smile. "Trust me, I know how to handle this. Get in my truck. I'll get you to town." She should have refused. Stranger danger and all that. But something in his eyes compelled her. A pull, inexplicable and magnetic. Nodding, she grabbed her duffel from the Jeep and climbed into the passenger seat. Thorne placed the wolf in the back, covering it with a blanket, before sliding behind the wheel. The drive was silent at first, the wipers slashing rhythmically against the glass. Elara stole glances at him, noting the faint scars on his knuckles, the way his jaw clenched as if fighting an internal battle. "Thank you," she finally said. "I'm Elara, by the way." "Thorne," he replied curtly, eyes fixed on the road. But then softer. "What brings you to Silver Ridge? Not many outsiders come this way." Elara hesitated, the weight of her past pressing down. Escaping, I guess. Bad breakup. Needed a fresh start. She laughed bitterly. Pathetic, right? Running to a cabin in the woods like some fairy tale gone wrong. Thorne's grip tightened on the wheel. Not pathetic. Sometimes the woods are the only place to heal. His voice carried a shadow, hinting at his own hidden pains. For a moment their eyes met, and Elara felt a spark, a connection that defied logic, as if fate had orchestrated this storm just for them. They arrived in Silver Ridge as the rain eased, the town a cluster of log cabins and flickering street lamps shrouded in mist. Thorne pulled up to a modest clinic, but instead of going inside, he carried the wolf around back. "Wait here," he instructed. Elara paced the truck, her mind racing. Who was this man? And why did being near him feel both dangerous and right? When he returned, his shirt stained with more blood, he looked weary. "The wolf will be fine. I've got a friend who's good with animals." Relief flooded her, mingled with curiosity. "Thank you again. I can walk to the cabin from here. It's not far." Thorne shook his head. "Not in this weather. I'll drive you." His tone brooked no argument, protective in a way that stirred something deep within her. As they drove the final miles, conversation flowed haltingly. Elara shared snippets of her life, the pressure of city living, the betrayal that had left her questioning her worth. Thorne listened, his responses measured, revealing little. But when he spoke of the forest, his words painted a picture of ancient secrets and untamed beauty. "The woods have their own rules," he said quietly. "Full moons bring change, and not everyone's ready for it." Elara shivered, chalking it up to the cold. Little did she know, those words were a harbinger of the world she was about to enter. A realm of shifters, where primal instincts ruled and fate bound souls in unbreakable bonds. The cabin loomed ahead, dark and inviting. Thorne helped her unload, his hand brushing hers accidentally, sending a jolt through her veins. "If you need anything, I'm just down the road." "Blackwood Lodge." She nodded, watching him drive away into the night. Alone in the cabin, Elara collapsed onto the bed, the events of the evening replaying in her mind. The wolf's golden eyes, Thorne's intense gaze, they mirrored each other too closely to be coincidence. Suspicion flickered, but exhaustion claimed her. Dreams weaving tales of wolves and men under a blood moon. Unbeknownst to her, Thorne shifted back into his human form miles away, the wound on his side already healing. He had left her once, in a past life he couldn't remember fully, but fate had brought her back. And this time, he wouldn't let her go, not without a fight. Tagshir's Chapter 2. Whispers in the woods. Elara woke to the soft patter of rain on the cabin's tin roof, her body aching from the previous night's ordeal. Sunlight filtered through the dusty curtains, casting a warm glow over the rustic interior. Wooden beams, a stone fireplace, and shelves lined with her aunt's forgotten books on folklore and herbs. She stretched, wincing at the bruise on her shoulder, and replayed the events in her mind. The storm, the wolf Thorne, his name lingered like a shadow, evoking a mix of gratitude and unease. Why had he been out there alone? And those eyes, golden, intense, almost feral. Shaking off the thoughts, Elara brewed coffee in the ancient percolator, the aroma grounding her. She needed to focus on settling in, not some mysterious stranger. But as she sipped the bitter brew on the porch, overlooking the misty forest, A figure emerged from the trees. Thorne, striding toward her with purpose, a toolbox in one hand and a covered basket in the other. His flannel shirt hugged his broad frame, and his dark hair was tousled, as if he'd just rolled out of bed himself. "Morning," he called, his voice carrying a roughness that sent an unexpected thrill through her. "Thought I'd check on you. Roads are still a mess. Your Jeep's stuck pretty good. I can tow it out later if you want." Elara set her mug down, surprise mingling with a flutter in her chest. "Thorne, I didn't expect... thank you. Again. Come on up." He climbed the steps, his boots thudding softly, and placed the basket on the railing. "Brought some supplies. Fresh bread from the bakery in town, eggs, a few staples. Figured you might not have stocked up yet." His gaze swept over her, lingering a moment too long on the bruise peeking from her collar. "You okay? That shoulder looks sore." She tugged her sweater higher, self-conscious under his scrutiny. "It's nothing. Just a bump from the crash. How's the wolf? Did your friend fix him up?" Thorne's expression flickered, something guarded, almost pained, before he nodded. "He's healing. Tougher than he looks." He shifted his weight, glancing toward the woods as if expecting something to emerge. "These forests are full of surprises. You should be careful wandering alone." There it was again, that protective edge to his words, like he was warning her about more than just wildlife. Elara felt a pull toward him, an inexplicable urge to probe deeper. "You've lived here long? You seem at home in the wild." A faint smile tugged at his lips, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Born and raised. My family's been in Silver Ridge for generations. We look out for our own." He opened the toolbox, revealing wrenches and cables. "Mind if I take a look at your plumbing? These old cabins leak like sieves after a storm." She hesitated, then stepped aside. "Sure, I appreciate it. I'm not exactly handy." As Thorne worked inside, kneeling by the sink with effortless competence, Elara watched from the doorway. His movements were fluid, powerful, like a predator conserving energy. Scars marked his forearms, old ones, faded but telling. "What do you do around here?" she asked, trying to fill the silence. "Besides rescuing stranded women and wolves?" He chuckled, a low rumble that warmed the room. "Run the lodge. Hunt, fish, keep the trails clear. It's a simple life." Wiping his hands on a rag, he straightened, his height making the cabin feel smaller. Their eyes met, and for a heartbeat, the air thickened with unspoken tension. "What about you, Elara? Graphic designer, you said? City girl trading skyscrapers for trees?" She leaned against the counter, crossing her arms. "Yeah, needed a break from the noise. And the people." Her voice softened, vulnerability creeping in. "My ex, he wasn't who I thought. Left me feeling like I wasn't enough. So here I am, starting over." Thorne's jaw tightened, his golden eyes darkening with empathy. Or was it anger? Some people don't know what they have until it's gone. "You're stronger than you think, coming out here alone." He stepped closer, close enough that she caught his scent. Earth and pine, wild and intoxicating. "If he hurt you, he's the fool." The words hung between them, charged with an intensity that made her pulse race. Elara swallowed, drawn to the raw honesty in his gaze. "Thanks. It's nice to hear that from someone who doesn't know my whole messy story." "I'd like to," he admitted quietly, then seemed to catch himself, backing away. "Pipes are fixed. No charge." He gathered his tools but paused at the door. "There's a full moon tonight. Town's having a gathering at the lodge. Bonfire, stories. You should come. Meet some folks. A full moon." His earlier words echoed, "Full moons bring change." Curiosity gnawed at her. "Stories? Like what? Old legends? Wolves? Spirits? Bonds that can't be broken?" His tone was casual, but his eyes held a secret depth. "Harmless fun," Elara nodded, intrigued despite herself. "Maybe I will." As Thorne disappeared into the woods, she felt a void, as if his presence had filled a space she hadn't known was empty. The rest of the day passed in a blur, unpacking, sketching designs on her tablet to distract from the ache in her heart. But thoughts of Thorne intruded. His scars, his protectiveness, the way he spoke of the forest like it was alive. By evening, the sky cleared, stars emerging like scattered diamonds. The full moon rose, bloated in silver, casting an ethereal light over the trees. Elara dressed simply, jeans, boots, a warm jacket, and hiked the short path to Blackwood Lodge. It was a sprawling log structure, smoke curling from the chimney, laughter spilling out inside. A dozen locals mingled, their faces weathered and welcoming. Thorne stood by the fire, commanding the room without effort. When he saw her, his face lit up, a genuine smile breaking through his guard. "You came." "Couldn't resist the mystery," she teased, accepting a mug of cider he handed her. They sat by the hearth as stories unfolded, tales of ancient shifters, guardians of the land cursed by bloodlines to change under the moon. One elder spoke of fated mates, souls linked by destiny, impossible to deny. Elara listened, enchanted, but noticed Thorne's tension, his fists clenching at mentions of betrayal in the lore. Later, outside by the bonfire, they wandered away from the group. The moon bathed them in silver, and Elara shivered, not from cold, but from the electricity between them. "Those stories, they feel real here," she said softly. Thorne stared at the flames, his profile sharp. "Some truths hide in legends, like how pain can bind people or break them." He turned to her, vulnerability etching his features. "I've lost people too, Elara. Family torn apart by old feuds. Makes you guarded." Her heart ached for him, and she reached out, touching his arm. The contact sparked, warm and electric. "You're not alone in that." For a moment they stood close, breaths mingling, the bond deepening in the quiet. But a howl pierced the night, distant, yet primal. Thorne stiffened, his eyes flashing gold in the firelight. "I should check on that. Wildlife gets restless under the moon." He pulled away abruptly, leaving her with a whirl of confusion. As he vanished into the shadows, Elara glimpsed something, a flicker of fur. No, impossible. Shaking her head, she returned to the cabin, but sleep evaded her. Dreams came instead. Thorne transforming, golden eyes pleading, a secret begging to be unveiled. The next morning, a knock startled her. Thorne again looking haggard, a fresh scratch on his cheek. "About last night. I didn't mean to run off." Elara's suspicion grew, but so did her concern. "What happened? You look like you fought a bear." "Something like that." He hesitated, then, "There's more to this town, to me, than I can say right now, but I want to earn your trust." As they talked over breakfast, she insisted on making, layers peeled away. Thorne shared fragments of his past, a brother lost to rivals, a loneliness that mirrored her own. Elara opened up about Marcus's cruelties, the emotional scars that made her doubt love. Their conversation flowed, building a fragile bridge, but the unspoken hung heavy. His strange behaviors, the wolf's absence. By afternoon, as he helped tow her jeep, their hands brushed again, lingering this time. The pull was undeniable, cosmic, like the fated mates in the stories. Yet doubt lingered. Why the secrecy? As Thorne left, promising to return, Elara vowed to uncover the truth, unaware that danger lurked in the woods, a rival pack sensing her arrival, threatening to shatter the budding bond. Chapter 3. Shadows of the past. Elara spent the afternoon tinkering with her jeep, the engine now purring thanks to Thorne's expert tow and a few tweaks he'd made before leaving. But her mind wasn't on the vehicle. It wandered back to him, the scratch on his cheek, the evasive answers, the way his touch lingered like a promise. She wiped grease from her hands, staring at the forest's edge where shadows danced in the late sun. Silver Ridge felt alive, whispering secrets she couldn't quite hear. The full moon stories from the night before echoed in her thoughts. Shifters, fated bonds, curses tied to bloodlines. Fairy tales, surely, but Thorne's reaction had been too real, too guarded. A rustle in the underbrush snapped her from her reverie. She tensed, half expecting another wolf, but it was Thorne emerging from the trail, a bundle of firewood under one arm and a thermos in the other. He moved with that same predatory grace, his golden eyes scanning the surroundings before settling on her. "Figured you might need this," he said, nodding to the wood. "Nights get cold up here. And hot chocolate, my sister's recipe. Peace offering for bolting last night." Elara's heart skipped, a mix of wariness and warmth flooding her. You didn't have to. But thanks. She took the thermos, their fingers brushing, sending that familiar spark up her arm. It was becoming harder to ignore, this pull, like gravity drawing her in. Come inside? I owe you lunch at least. He hesitated, glancing back at the woods as if sensing something, then nodded. All right, but I can't stay long. Got patrols to run. Patrols? She asked as they entered the cabin, the door creaking behind them. Thorne set the wood by the fireplace, his broad shoulders flexing under his shirt. Keeping an eye on the trails. Wildlife, poachers, that sort of thing. His voice was casual, but his eyes betrayed a deeper vigilance. As Elara prepared sandwiches, simple ham and cheese from the supplies he'd brought, she watched him build a fire with efficient motions. Flames crackled to life, casting flickering light that highlighted the new scratch on his cheek, now scabbed over unnaturally fast. That looks better already, she commented, handing him a plate. What really happened last night? After the howl? Thorne sat across from her at the scarred wooden table, his presence filling the small space. He took a bite, chewing thoughtfully before answering. Just a scuffle with some intruders. Nothing I couldn't handle. He met her gaze, something vulnerable flickering there. This town has its share of rivalries. Old families, territorial disputes. My people, have protected this land for years. Elara's brow furrowed at the slip. Pack? Like a family? He coughed, covering with a sip from the thermos. Yeah, something like that. Close-knit group. Changing the subject, he asked, Tell me more about your designs. What do you create? She relaxed slightly, grateful for the shift. As they ate, she shared her passion. Digital art inspired by nature. Logos for eco-brands. Illustrations that captured the wild's essence. Thorne listened intently, his golden eyes softening. Sounds freeing. I've always been more hands-on, but I get it. The forest inspires me, too. Its rhythms, the way it heals what's broken. His words resonated, touching the raw edges of her heart. Healing? Yeah. After Marcus, I thought I'd never trust again. He made me feel small, like my emotions were a burden. She traced the rim of her mug, vulnerability spilling out. But being here, it's like the woods are stitching me back together. Thorne reached across the table, his hand covering hers gently. The contact was electric, warm, grounding. You're not a burden, Elara. You're resilient, like the pines after a storm. They bend but don't break. His thumb brushed her knuckles, a tender gesture that made her breath catch. For a moment, time suspended, their eyes locked in silent understanding. The bond deepened, a thread weaving tighter, fueled by shared loneliness. But then Thorne pulled back, standing abruptly. I should go. Those patrols won't run themselves. He moved to the door but paused, turning back. Be careful if you hike. Stick to the marked paths. There are things in these woods. Not everyone understands. Elara stood, confusion mingling with concern. Things like what? Thorne, you're scaring me a little. He sighed, running a hand through his hair. Just stories, mostly, but real enough to some. His gaze lingered, as if debating whether to say more. Then he stepped outside. She followed him to the porch, watching as he disappeared into the trees. The scratch on his cheek, had it faded even more? Suspicion gnawed at her. The wolf from the accident, Thorne's eyes, the howls, pieces of a puzzle she couldn't yet assemble. Determined, Elara grabbed her jacket and sketchbook, deciding on a short hike to clear her head. The marked path wound through evergreens, the air crisp with pine and earth. Sunlight dappled the ground, and for a while, peace settled over her. But as she sketched a gnarled oak, a low growl echoed from the brush. Elara froze, her pencil dropping. Emerging from the shadows was a wolf. Not the silver one from before, but a larger, darker beast with bared teeth and eyes gleaming with malice. It stalked closer, hackles raised, blocking her path back. Panic surged. Easy, she whispered, backing away slowly. Her foot caught on a root and she stumbled, scraping her palm on rocks. The wolf lunged, but a blur of silver fur intercepted it midair. Thorne's wolf, or was it? The two beasts tumbled in a frenzy of snarls and snaps, claws raking fur. Elara scrambled to her feet, heart pounding. The silver wolf fought fiercely, driving the aggressor back until it yelped and fled into the undergrowth. Panting, the victor turned to her, golden eyes meeting hers with that same intelligence. Blood trickled from a fresh wound on its flank, the same side as the accident. "Thorne," she breathed, the word escaping before she could stop it. The wolf whined softly, limping closer, then collapsed at her feet. Trembling, Elara knelt, her hands hovering. "Oh God, what is this?" The wolf's form shimmered faintly in the sunlight, but no, it had to be her imagination. She pressed her scarf to the wound, just as she had that first night. "Hold on. I'll get help." But the wolf nudged her hand away, its eyes pleading. Then, with a shudder, it rose and loped into the woods, leaving a trail of blood drops. Shaken, Elara raced back to the cabin, her mind reeling. Coincidence, or something more? She bandaged her scraped palm, pacing until dusk fell. A knock came as night deepened. Thorne, looking exhausted, a bandage peeking from under his shirt. "You," she said, pulling him inside. "What happened to you now?" "Another scuffle," he muttered, sinking into a chair. "That rival group. They're testing boundaries." Elara fetched water, her hand steady despite the turmoil. As she cleaned a cut on his arm, mirroring the wolf's injury, she probed gently. "I saw a wolf today. Attacked me, but another one saved me. Silver fur, golden eyes, like the one from the accident." Thorne stiffened, his breath hitching. "You shouldn't have gone out alone. It was you, wasn't it?" She pressed, her voice soft but insistent. "The wolf, it's connected to you." He looked away, conflict etching his face. "Elara, there are things I can't explain yet. Trust me a little longer." She cupped his cheek, turning him to face her. "I want to, but secrets, they hurt people." Thorne's hand covered hers, his touch igniting that cosmic pull. "I've been alone so long, guarding my past. A betrayal years ago, left for dead by someone I trusted. It made me wary. But with you, it feels different. Like fate's giving me a second chance." Tears pricked her eyes, his words mirroring her own scars. They sat in silence, the fire crackling, the bond strengthening in the quiet vulnerability. As he left, promising answers soon, Elara felt the suspense coiling tighter. The rival pack's threat loomed, and whatever Thorne hid, it was drawing her deeper into a world of primal instincts and ancient bonds. Little did she know, the dark wolf's alpha watched from the shadows, plotting to claim what he saw as his territory, including her. Chapter 4. Echoes of the Moon. Elara couldn't shake the image of the silver wolf collapsing at her feet, its golden eyes mirroring Thorne's in a way that defied coincidence. That night, as she lay in bed staring at the cabin's beamed ceiling, the forest outside whispered with unseen life. Rustles, distant howls that sent chills racing down her spine. Thorne's words echoed, "There are things I can't explain yet." Trust him? She wanted to, desperately, but the pieces were aligning too neatly. The accident, the rescues, the rapid healing. Was she losing her mind? Or was Silver Ridge hiding something supernatural? The next morning dawned crisp and clear, frost etching the windows like delicate lace. Elara rose early, determined to confront her suspicions without pushing Thorne away. She brewed tea, chamomile to calm her nerves, and stepped onto the porch, where the air carried the scent of damp earth and pine. As if summoned by her thoughts, Thorne appeared on the path, carrying a woven basket and wearing a worn leather jacket that accentuated his rugged frame. His stride was purposeful, but shadows lingered under his eyes, as if sleep had eluded him too. "Morning," he greeted, his voice a low rumble that stirred something deep within her. He held up the basket. "Berries from the ridge, fresh picked. Thought we could make breakfast together, if you're up for it." Elara's heart softened at the gesture, a simple act that spoke volumes about his desire to bridge the gap. "I'd like that. Come in." Inside, they worked side by side in the small kitchen, the space intimate and charged. Thorne rinsed the berries while Elara mixed batter for pancakes, their arms brushing occasionally, each contact igniting a spark. Conversation started light, talk of the weather, the town's quirky residents, but soon deepened as the aroma of cooking filled the air. You mentioned a betrayal yesterday, Elara said softly, flipping a pancake. What happened? If you don't mind sharing. Thorne paused, his knife hovering over a berry. His golden eyes met hers, guarded yet yearning. It was years ago. A woman, someone I thought was my partner. She turned on me during a conflict with outsiders. Left me wounded, alone in the woods. I barely survived. His voice cracked slightly, revealing the depth of the scar. Taught me to keep walls up. People can be cruel when instincts take over. Elara's chest tightened, empathy flooding her. She set the spatula down, turning to face him fully. I'm sorry, Thorne. That sounds heartbreaking. Marcus did something similar. Betrayed me with someone close, made me question everything. But you're not alone in those walls. I've built my own. He stepped closer, the heat from the stove mirroring the warmth building between them. Maybe we can help each other tear them down. His hand reached out, tucking a stray lock of hair behind her ear. The touch was tender, lingering, sending a shiver through her. For a moment, they stood inches apart, breath sinking in the quiet morning light. Elara felt the pull intensify, a magnetic force drawing her toward him, as if their souls recognized each other from some forgotten dream. They ate at the table, the meal a conduit for more revelations. Thorne spoke of his love for the forest's rhythms, the way the moon influenced the tides of life, how ancient bloodlines tied families to the land. My ancestors believed in bonds that transcend time, he said, his fork pausing midair. Fated connections, impossible to ignore. Sounds crazy, right? Elara shook her head, her suspicions flaring but tempered by the vulnerability in his tone. Not crazy, comforting maybe, like destiny has a plan. She hesitated, then added, That wolf yesterday, it saved me. And its eyes, they were like yours. Is there something you're not telling me? Thorne's expression flickered, a storm brewing in his gaze. He set his plate aside, leaning forward. Elara, I want to tell you everything. But it's dangerous. Not just for me, but for you. There are rules in this town, old ones tied to the moon and our heritage. He took her hand, his grip firm yet gentle. Give me time, please. The plea in his voice tugged at her heartstrings, deepening the bond even as suspense coiled tighter. She squeezed his hand back, feeling the roughness of his skin, the pulse that matched her own. Okay, but promise me, no more secrets that could hurt us. I promise, he whispered, though doubt shadowed his eyes. After breakfast, Thorne suggested a walk to clear the air. They ventured into the woods, sticking to the sun-dappled paths he knew well. The forest enveloped them, birdsong and rustling leaves creating a symphony of seclusion. As they hiked, Thorne pointed out hidden wonders, a crystal-clear stream, a cluster of wildflowers blooming out of season. His knowledge was intimate, almost reverent, as if he were part of the landscape. At a small clearing overlooking a valley, they sat on a fallen log, shoulders touching. The view was breathtaking, mist-shrouded mountains stretching endlessly. This is my sanctuary, Thorne admitted, where I come to think, to heal. Elara leaned against him slightly, the contact natural and comforting. It's beautiful, makes my city problems feel small. She turned to him, their faces close. Thank you for sharing this with me. It means something. Thorne's gaze softened, his hand finding hers again. You mean something, Elara? From the moment you helped that wolf, me, in a way, you've been different. Brave kind. It's pulling me in. Her breath caught at the admission, the air thickening with romantic tension. Pulling you in how? Like I can't stay away, he murmured, his free hand cupping her cheek. Time slowed as he leaned in, their lips brushing in a tentative kiss. Soft, exploratory, laced with the promise of more. Elara's world tilted, the kiss awakening a fire she hadn't known existed. It was slow, building like the emotional layers they'd uncovered, deepening their connection in a rush of warmth and destiny. But as they pulled apart, a growl shattered the moment. From the tree line emerged the dark wolf from before, larger now, flanked by two others with snarling muzzles. Thorne shoved Elara behind him, his body tensing like a coiled spring. Stay back, he commanded, his voice dropping to a guttural tone. The lead wolf advanced, eyes glowing with malice. Thorne's stance shifted, a low rumble emanating from his chest. Inhuman, primal. Elara's heart raced. Was this the reveal? But before anything escalated, Thorne let out a fierce bark-like shout, and the intruders hesitated, then retreated into the shadows. Panting, Thorne turned to her, his eyes flashing with that golden intensity. "We need to get back, now." They hurried to the cabin in tense silence, the kiss's sweetness soured by fear. Inside, Thorne paced, agitation rolling off him. Those weren't ordinary wolves. They're from a rival group, led by someone who wants what we have. We. Elara echoed, her mind whirling. "My family," he corrected quickly, but the slip hung heavy. They sense change and it threatens them. Elara approached, placing a hand on his arm. "Thorne, whatever this is, we'll face it. But you have to let me in." He pulled her into an embrace, his hold protective and fierce. "I will. Soon. For now, know that I'd do anything to keep you safe." As evening fell, Thorne left to handle things, leaving Elara with a whirlwind of emotions, deepening affection tangled with growing suspense. She sketched the wolves in her book, noting the similarities, her suspicions solidifying. Outside, howls rose again, closer this time, hinting at the dangerous obstacles ahead. The rival alpha's envy burned, targeting the fated bond he could never claim, setting the stage for a confrontation that would force secrets into the light. Chapter 5. Fractured Revelations. Elara stood by the cabin window, watching Thorne's figure fade into the twilight forest, his broad shoulders tense with unspoken burdens. The embrace lingered on her skin like a brand, the firmness of his arms, the way his heart had thundered against hers, syncing with her own frantic beat. That kiss in the clearing, it had been a revelation, a spark igniting the slow-burning fire between them. Yet the interruption by those wolves had doused it in cold reality, leaving her with more questions than comfort. Who or what was he protecting her from? And why did every encounter with danger circle back to him, like a shadow he couldn't outrun? Sleep came fitfully that night, dreams weaving Thorne's face with the silver wolf's form, golden eyes pleading for understanding. By morning, a light fog blanketed the woods, muffling the world in ethereal quiet. Elara dressed warmly and stepped outside, needing air to clear the haze in her mind. The rival wolves' growls echoed in her memory, primal and threatening. Thorne had called them a rival group, but his slip, "my family," hinted at deeper ties. Was he involved in some backwoods feud? Or something more otherworldly, like the legends from the bonfire? As if her thoughts summoned him, Thorne emerged from the mist, carrying a bundle of herbs and a steaming thermos. His face was drawn, fresh bruises shadowing his jaw, but his eyes lit up when they met hers. "Couldn't stay away," he admitted, climbing the porch steps. "Brought nettle tea, good for nerves, and I wanted to make sure you're all right after yesterday." Elara accepted the thermos, their fingers intertwining briefly, the touch a silent reassurance. "I'm okay." Shaken, but okay. Those wolves, they seemed targeted. "At us," Thorne nodded, setting the herbs on the railing. They were. The leader, Riven, he's always pushed boundaries. Old grudges. He hesitated, then added, "Come with me? There's a place I want to show you. Somewhere safe, away from prying eyes." Curiosity warred with caution, but the pull toward him won. "Lead the way." They hiked deeper into the forest than before, the path narrowing to a deer trail lined with ferns. Thorne moved with silent assurance, his hand occasionally steadying her over roots or streams. Conversation flowed in whispers, as if the trees themselves listened. He spoke of his childhood, running wild in these woods, learning survival from a father lost too young. "He taught me about balance," Thorne said, helping her across a fallen log. "How nature demands respect or it bites back. Full moons especially. They stir things up, make instincts sharper." Elara glanced at him, noting how the fog clung to his dark hair like a halo. "Instincts? Like the stories at the lodge? Shifters and soul bonds?" His step faltered just for a moment. "Those tales have roots in truth. Bloodlines carry memories, curses that bind us to the land." He stopped at a hidden glade, where a crystal spring bubbled from moss-covered rocks, steam rising in the cool air. "This hot spring's been in my family for generations." Healing waters, they say. The setting was magical, steam curling like spirits, the air warm and inviting despite the chill. Thorne spread a blanket from his pack, gesturing for her to sit. No one's around. We can talk freely here. Elara settled beside him, dipping her fingers into the spring. The water was soothing, easing the tension in her muscles. Talk about what? The secrets you're keeping? Thorne sighed, leaning back on his elbows, his profile etched against the mist. Yes, but it's hard. I've guarded this for so long, afraid it'd drive people away. He turned to her, vulnerability raw in his golden eyes. That betrayal I mentioned? It wasn't just emotional. She discovered my nature and used it against me. Left me to die during a shift, a bad time. Shift? Elara's pulse quickened, the word hanging like a clue. Thorne, the wolf that saved me twice. It's you, isn't it? The eyes, the wounds healing fast. It all fits. He froze, then slowly nodded, though he didn't confirm outright. What if it was? Would you run? She searched his face, seeing the fear beneath the alpha exterior, the wounded man craving acceptance. No, I'd want to understand. Because whatever this is between us, it feels real, faded, like those legends. Thorne's hand found hers, lacing their fingers. It is real. From the storm, when you helped me without fear. It woke something, a bond I thought was lost. He pulled her closer, their foreheads touching. You've healed parts of me I didn't know were broken. Your strength, after what that bastard did to you, it's inspiring. Tears welled in Elara's eyes, his words mending her own fractures. And you make me feel seen, not broken, but whole. The moment stretched, intimate and charged, the steam enveloping them like a cocoon. She leaned in, capturing his lips in a kiss that built on the previous one's promise. Deeper, more urgent, yet still slow, savoring the emotional layers. His arms wrapped around her, pulling her onto his lap as the kiss intensified, hands exploring with gentle reverence. Elara felt the heat of him, the restrained power, and it stirred a desire intertwined with trust. But as passion mounted, a distant howl pierced the glade. Familiar, menacing. Thorne broke away, his body going rigid. Riven's pack. They're close. Elara's breath came in gasps, fear mixing with frustration. Why now? What do they want? Territory. And they sense the bond. It's a threat to their dominance. He stood, helping her up, his eyes scanning the tree line. Shadows moved there, eyes glinting in the fog. We need to move. Back to the cabin. They hurried along the path, Thorne's hand firm on hers, protective instincts in overdrive. Branches whipped at them, the forest turning from sanctuary to labyrinth. A snarl echoed behind, spurring them faster. At the cabin's edge, Thorne whirled to face the pursuers, 3 wolves, led by the dark-furred beast. Stay inside, he ordered, pushing her toward the door. But Elara grabbed his arm. No, we're in this together. Thorne's expression softened, then hardened with resolve. All right, but promise me, if it gets bad, run. The wolves circled, growling low. Thorne stepped forward, emitting that same guttural rumble from before. The air shimmered around him, tension crackling like electricity. Elara's heart pounded. Was this the moment? But instead of shifting, Thorne charged, tackling the lead wolf with inhuman speed. Fists and claws flew. Wait, claws? His hands seemed sharper, nails elongated in the fray. The fight was brutal, Thorne's strength overwhelming, but a slash caught his side, blood blooming on his shirt. Elara cried out, grabbing a branch as a weapon, swinging at a flanking wolf. It yelped, retreating, giving Thorne the opening to drive them off. Panting, the pack slunk away, defeated for now. Thorne staggered back, clutching his wound. Elara rushed to him, tearing her scarf to bind it. You're hurt. Let me see. It's shallow, he grunted, but let her tend to him inside the cabin. As she worked by the fire, the adrenaline faded, leaving raw emotion. That was reckless, she whispered, her hands trembling. But you protected me. Again. Thorne cupped her face, his touch gentle despite the pain. I'd die before letting them touch you. You're my everything now. The words hung, deepening their bond in the firelight. But as night fell, Elara noticed the wound healing faster than humanly possible, fibers knitting before her eyes. How? Thorne met her gaze, the secret teetering on revelation. Tomorrow, I'll show you everything. No more hiding. She nodded, curling against him on the couch, their bodies entwined in comfort. Sleep claimed them, but outside, Riven plotted in the shadows, his envy festering. The bond was strengthening, but so were the dangers, paving the way for truths that could either unite or shatter them. Chapter 6. Veiled promises, Elara stirred in the dim light of dawn, the weight of Thorne's arm draped protectively over her waist. They had fallen asleep on the couch, the fire reduced to glowing embers, casting a soft orange hue over the room. His breath was steady against her neck, warm and rhythmic, a stark contrast to the chaos of the previous day. The wound on his side, bandaged under his shirt, had stopped bleeding far too quickly, another anomaly she couldn't ignore. But in this quiet moment, tangled in his embrace, the questions felt distant, overshadowed by the comfort of his presence. She shifted slightly, and his eyes fluttered open, golden depths locking onto hers with an intensity that made her heart stutter. "Morning," he murmured, his voice husky from sleep. His hand tightened on her hip, pulling her closer as if afraid she'd vanish. "You stayed. Where else would I go?" Elara whispered, tracing the line of his jaw with her fingertips. The stubble was rough, grounding her in the reality of him. "After last night, I couldn't leave you like that." Thorne's lips curved in a faint smile, but shadows lingered in his gaze. "You're braver than most, facing those beasts, swinging that branch like a warrior." He propped himself up on one elbow, wincing slightly at the pull on his injury. "But today, I promised answers, no more veils." Her pulse quickened, a mix of anticipation and apprehension. "Then let's not wait. Show me, Thorne. Whatever it is, I can handle it." He searched her face as if weighing her resolve, then nodded slowly. "All right, but not here. There's a place in the woods, sacred to my kind. It'll make sense there." He leaned in, brushing a kiss to her forehead, tender and lingering. The gesture deepened the ache in her chest, a blend of fear and longing. How had this stranger become so essential in mere days? They rose, the morning air crisp as Elara prepared a quick breakfast of oatmeal and berries. Thorne ate sparingly, his appetite dimmed by whatever loomed ahead. Conversation was sparse but meaningful, small touches, shared glances that spoke volumes. As they cleared the dishes, his hand found the small of her back, a possessive yet gentle claim that sent warmth pooling in her veins. "Before we go," he said softly, turning her to face him, "know this. Whatever you see, it doesn't change how I feel. This bond, it's real. Cosmic, like the stories say. I've felt it since the storm, pulling me to you." Elara's throat tightened, emotions swelling. "I feel it too, like fate threw us together to heal each other." She rose on her toes, capturing his lips in a slow kiss. Deeper than before, exploratory, tasting of promise and vulnerability. His arms encircled her, one hand threading through her hair, the other pressing her against him. The world faded, leaving only the heat of their connection, a slow burn that hinted at passions yet unexplored. Reluctantly, they parted, breaths mingling. "We should go," Thorne said, though his eyes darkened with desire, "before I forget why we're leaving the cabin." The hike led them through mist-shrouded trails, the forest awakening with bird calls and rustling leaves. Thorne's pace was measured, his hand clasping hers firmly, as if anchoring her to him. He shared more fragments of his past. Growing up in Silver Ridge, the weight of leadership thrust upon him after his father's death in a territorial skirmish. "I've always been the protector," he confessed, stepping over a stream. "But it leaves little room for this." He squeezed her hand, the gesture laden with unspoken fears. Elara opened up in return, delving into the scars Marcus had left, not just the betrayal, but the years of doubting her worth. The societal pressures that had molded her into someone she barely recognized. "Coming here was my rebellion," she said, her voice steady. "But meeting you, it's like finding a piece I didn't know was missing." Thorne stopped, pulling her into a brief embrace amid the trees. "You're not missing anything. You're whole, Elara, and together, we could be unbreakable." His words wove deeper into her heart, strengthening the emotional tapestry between them. They arrived at a secluded grove, ancient oaks forming a natural cathedral, sunlight filtering through leaves like stained glass. In the center stood a weathered stone altar, etched with runes that seemed to pulse with faint energy. Thorne released her hand, stepping back with a solemn expression. This is where my ancestors communed with the moon, where truths are revealed. Elara's breath caught, the air thick with anticipation. What now? I need to show you my true self, but it's tied to the curse, our bloodline's gift and burden. Under the moon we change, bound by primal laws. He paced slowly, his body language tense like a caged animal. The shift? It's not easy to control sometimes, especially with emotions running high. Shift? She echoed, the word clicking into place. You're a shifter? A werewolf? Thorne met her gaze, pain and relief mingling. Yes, that's the secret. The wolf you saved, that was me, injured in a patrol, hit by your car in the storm. He ran a hand through his hair, vulnerability etched in every line. I've wanted to tell you, but fear held me back. The last person who knew, she betrayed me to Riven's pack, left me to die mid-shift, weak, exposed. Elara stepped forward, her hand on his chest, feeling the rapid beat of his heart. I'm not her. I won't run. Show me, Thorne. Let me see all of you. He hesitated, then nodded. Stand back. It might be intense. The air shimmered as Thorne closed his eyes, muscles rippling under his skin. A low growl built in his throat, his form blurring at the edges. Fur sprouted, silver and thick, bones reshaping with audible cracks that made Elara wince. In moments the man was gone, replaced by the majestic wolf, golden eyes staring back at her with unmistakable intelligence. Elara's knees weakened, but she didn't flee. Instead, she approached slowly, hand extended. Thorne, it's really you. The wolf nuzzled her palm, a soft whine escaping as if seeking approval. She knelt, burying her fingers in his fur, the warmth familiar from that first night. Tears streamed down her face, not from fear, but from the profundity of the moment. You're beautiful. Terrifying but beautiful. The wolf shifted back, Thorne reappearing in a crouch, sweat beading on his brow. He pulled her into his arms, holding her tight. You didn't run. Gods, Elara, you didn't run. How could I? She murmured against his shoulder. This is you. All of it. Their kiss then was fervent, sealing the revelation with passion born of acceptance. Hands roamed, exploring boundaries, the bond surging like a tidal wave, emotional, physical, inescapable. But as they broke apart, a rustle in the underbrush shattered the peace. Riven emerged, human form tall and menacing, flanked by his pack in wolf shapes. Touching, he sneered, his voice dripping with venom. But she's not yours to claim, Blackwood. The bond you flaunt, it's a weakness, and I'll exploit it. Thorne shoved Elara behind him, his body partially shifting, claws extending, eyes glowing. Leave now, Riven. This grove is sacred. Violate it, and the old laws will curse you. Riven laughed, circling. Laws mean nothing when territory's at stake. Your father's death proved that. His gaze flicked to Elara. And her? A human in our world. She'll be your downfall. The pack advanced, snarls echoing. Thorne fought fiercely, shifting fully to meet them, but numbers overwhelmed. A bite to his flank drew blood, and Elara grabbed a ritual dagger from the altar, slashing at a wolf that lunged for her. The blade connected, drawing a yelp, but Riven seized the moment, knocking Thorne down. Stop, Elara cried, standing over Thorne's wolf form. Whatever this feud is, it ends now. Or take me too. Riven paused, intrigue flashing. Brave words, human. But fate's not kind to outsiders. With a signal, his pack retreated, but not before Riven's parting shot. The next full moon, Blackwood. We'll settle this. Thorne shifted back, bloodied but alive, pulling Elara close. You shouldn't have risked that. I had to, she said, bandaging him with strips from her shirt. We're in this together now. As they limped back to the cabin, the revelation hung between them. A bridge crossed, but dangers mounting. Thorne's secret was out, yet deeper mysteries lingered. The curse's full extent, the bond's power. Riven's threat loomed, forcing choices that would test their love, leading toward a confrontation where betrayal or sacrifice awaited. Chapter 7. Shattered oaths. Elara supported Thorne's weight as they staggered back to the cabin, the sacred grove's mist clinging to their clothes like a shroud. His blood soaked through the makeshift bandage, a stark reminder of the violence that had erupted so swiftly. The revelation of his true nature still hummed in her veins, werewolf, shifter, bound by ancient curses and bloodlines. It should have terrified her, but instead, it solidified the bond, making their connection feel even more predestined, like threads of fate woven under the moon's watchful eye. Yet Riven's parting words echoed ominously. The next full moon, Blackwood. "We'll settle this." The threat hung over them, a storm brewing on the horizon. Inside the cabin, Elara guided Thorne to the couch, her hands steady despite the tremor in her chest. "Lie still," she commanded, fetching her first aid kit from the bathroom. The air was thick with the scent of pine and blood, the fire she'd lit earlier crackling softly as if to ward off the encroaching dusk. Thorne winced as she peeled away the soaked cloth, exposing the deep gash from the wolf's bite. It was already knitting, faster than any human wound, silvery threads of tissue mending before her eyes. "See?" he said, his voice strained but laced with dark humor. "Perks of the curse. We'll heal, but it doesn't make the pain any less." Elara met his gaze, her fingers gentle as she applied antiseptic. "Curse? You mentioned it before. Tell me everything, Thorne. No more half-truths." He captured her hand, holding it against his chest where his heart pounded fiercely. "The bloodline curse dates back centuries. Our ancestors were guardians of this land, blessed or cursed, with the ability to shift under the full moon. It amplifies instincts, binds mates through soul links that are unbreakable once sealed. But it comes with a price. Vulnerability to rivals, madness if the bond is rejected." His golden eyes darkened. "Riven's pack was once allied with mine. His sister. She was my intended mate. But she betrayed us for power, leading to the deaths that orphaned me." Elara's breath hitched, the weight of his past crashing over her. "And now Riven wants revenge? Through me?" Thorne nodded, pulling her down beside him. Their bodies aligned naturally, her head resting on his shoulder as he stroked her hair. "He senses the bond forming between us. It's like a beacon. If he claims you or forces me to break it, it could destroy me. But keeping you here endangers you more. Humans aren't meant for this world." She lifted her head, cupping his face. "I'm not leaving. This bond, it's healing me too. Marcus's betrayal left me hollow, but you make me feel alive." Tears welled, spilling over as she kissed him softly, the contact a balm for their shared traumas. Thorne responded with equal tenderness, his lips moving against hers in a slow dance that deepened their intimacy. Hands explored, not in haste, but with reverent care, tracing scars, both visible and invisible, building trust layer by layer. As the kiss broke, Thorne's expression shifted to one of torment. "I can't lose you like I lost them. The full moon is in 3 days. Riven will come with his full pack. If you stay..." Elara pulled back slightly, searching his eyes. "What aren't you telling me? There's more to the bond, isn't there?" He hesitated, the suspense of his unspoken truth thickening the air. Thorne had revealed the shift, but not the full lore. The soul bond required a ritual under the moon to seal it permanently, or it could consume them both, driving the shifter mad with unfulfilled need. And he hadn't admitted that the first night when she touched his wolf form, she'd unknowingly initiated it. Telling her now risked overwhelming her, but hiding it felt like betrayal. "Not now," he evaded, his voice rough. "Just promise you'll consider leaving, for your safety." The word stung, a crack in their budding trust. Elara stood pacing the room. "Consider leaving? After everything? You think I'm that fragile?" Thorne rose, wincing, and pulled her into an embrace. "No, you're the strongest person I know. That's why this hurts." His hold was fierce, possessive, the alpha in him warring with the man who loved her. They spent the evening like that, talking by the fire, sharing stories of their wounds. Elara confessed the depths of her loneliness post-betrayal, how Marcus's gaslighting had eroded her self-worth. Thorne opened up about the isolation of leadership, the fear of the curse claiming his humanity. Dialogue wove their souls closer. What if the bond changes me? she asked softly, nestled against him. It enhances, doesn't alter, he replied, kissing her temple. You'll feel it too, the pull, the protection. Like fate chose us to heal together. As night deepened, they made love for the first time, slow, emotional, a culmination of the buildup. Thorne's touch was worshipful, every caress affirming her value, mending the fractures Marcus left. In his arms, Elara felt whole, the bond thrumming like a living entity. Afterward, tangled in sheets, whispers of forever filled the air, deepening their connection to an unbreakable depth. But dawn brought reality. Thorne dressed quietly, his face resolute. I scouted last night. Riven's pack is massing. I can't risk you. He handed her a packed bag, clothes, supplies, keys to his truck. Go to the city. I'll come for you when it's safe. Elara's world tilted. This is sacrifice? Pushing me away without a fight? It's protection, he growled, but pain laced his voice. The bond makes me weak, distracted. If you're gone, I can end this. Tears streamed down her face. You're hiding something. The full truth about the bond. It's more than you said, isn't it? Suspense coiled. She sensed the omission, the secret layer he guarded to shield her. Thorne averted his eyes. Trust me, Elara. This is for us. The words felt like betrayal, a echo of Marcus's manipulations. Heartbroken, she grabbed the bag, storming out to the truck. If this is what you want, fine, but don't expect me to wait. She drove off, tires crunching gravel, leaving Thorne alone with his guilt. Miles down the mountain road, regret gnawed at her. The bond pulled like a physical ache, urging her back. But pride and hurt kept her pressing the gas. Unbeknownst to her, Riven's scouts had followed, and as she rounded a bend, a dark wolf lunged into the path. The truck swerved, crashing into the guardrail. Pain exploded as Elara hit her head, vision blurring. Back in the woods, Thorne felt the bond snap taut, a psychic alarm of danger. Elara, he roared, shifting and racing toward the road. The sacrifice had backfired, drawing her into greater peril. As he arrived, Riven's pack surrounded the wreck, the alpha in human form dragging her unconscious form from the vehicle. You thought sending her away would save her? Riven taunted. The bond calls to us all. Now, witness your end. Thorne lunged, the fight erupting in a frenzy of fangs and fury. But outnumbered, he faltered, a life-threatening wound opening his flank. Elara stirred, horror dawning as she saw the truth. Thorne's hidden fear had led to this betrayal of their trust. Yet even as darkness closed in, the bond whispered of redemption, a breakthrough forged in blood. Chapter 8. Whispers of sacrifice, Elara awoke to the soft glow of dawn filtering through the cabin's curtains. Thorne's body still wrapped around hers like a living shield. His chest rose and fell in steady rhythm. But even in sleep, tension etched his brow, a silent testament to the burdens he carried. The events of the previous night replayed in her mind. Mira's warning, the parley with Riven, and Thorne's evasive assurances. He had revealed his shifter nature, bared his soul in the grove, yet something remained hidden, a shadow in his eyes when he spoke of the bond. What sacrifice did it demand, and why did the thought of it make him hold her tighter, as if she might slip away? She traced the contours of his arm, marveling at the warmth, the strength beneath his skin. In these quiet moments, the world outside, the rival pack, the curse, faded, leaving only them. Thorne stirred, his golden eyes opening to meet hers, softening with a tenderness that made her heart ache. Couldn't sleep? He murmured, his voice gravelly, hand sliding to her waist. Not much, Elara admitted, shifting to face him fully. Thinking about last night. The parley, you said you'd handle it, but I can see it's weighing on you. Thorne sighed, pulling her closer, his lips brushing her temple. It's pack business. Riven's always been a thorn, pushing for dominance, but with you here, it complicates things. He hesitated, fingers weaving through her hair. The bond makes us stronger, but it also paints a target. I won't let him use you against me. Elara cupped his face, thumb grazing the faint scar on his cheek, a remnant of past battles. Then let me help. I'm not fragile, Thorne. After everything, Marcus, the city, I came here to rebuild. With you, I feel like I can face anything. Her words hung between them, laced with the vulnerability she'd once guarded so fiercely. The emotional walls were crumbling, replaced by a deepening trust that felt both exhilarating and terrifying. He kissed her then, slow and deliberate, as if memorizing her taste. It started gentle, a reassurance, but built into something more profound. Lips parting, breaths mingling, hands exploring the curves and planes of each other's bodies with reverent care. Elara arched into him, the heat of his skin igniting a fire that had simmered since their first touch. Yet even in the passion, restraint lingered. Thorne pulled back slightly, his forehead against hers, eyes dark with desire and conflict. "You have no idea what you do to me," he whispered. "This bond, it's pulling us together, healing the broken parts. But it comes with rules I can't ignore." "What rules?" She pressed softly, her hand on his chest, feeling the rapid thrum of his heart. "Tell me the full truth, Thorne. No more shadows." He closed his eyes briefly, as if gathering strength. "The curse isn't just about shifting. Soul bonds like ours, they're tied to the land, the pack's survival. If one mate is threatened, the other must choose. Sometimes it means letting go to protect the whole." His voice cracked, revealing the depth of his fear. "My parents, my mother sacrificed her bond to save the pack from a rival curse. It broke her, left my father a shell. I swore I'd never face that." Elara's breath caught, the revelation slicing through her. "You think you'd have to choose? Between me and the pack?" "Not if I can prevent it," he said fiercely, his grip tightening. "That's why the parley matters. I'll negotiate peace, end this feud before it forces my hand." But doubt flickered in his gaze, a withheld detail that maintained the suspense, like a puzzle piece just out of reach. Was there more to the bond's cost? A ritual, perhaps, or a prophecy he feared? They rose, the morning light casting long shadows as Elara prepared coffee, the routine a fragile anchor. Over steaming mugs, conversation deepened. Thorne shared tales of pack life, the joy of running under the moon, the loneliness of alpha duties. "Before you, it was duty over everything," he confessed, his hand covering hers on the table. "Now, I dream of more, a life where we build something together, away from the fights." Elara squeezed his hand, opening up about her own dreams. Art that captured the wild's essence, a home free from betrayal's echoes. "With you it feels possible, like fate's mending us." The words wove their bond tighter, emotional threads strengthening in the shared vulnerability. Yet the parley's shadow loomed, a suspenseful undercurrent that made every glance, every touch more poignant. Mid-morning, Thorne prepared to leave for the old oak, donning a cloak that blended with the forest. "Stay here," he instructed, his tone commanding yet pleading. "Mira will patrol nearby. If anything happens, I'll be fine," Elara interrupted, pulling him into an embrace. "But come back to me. Promise." "I promise," he murmured, sealing it with a kiss that lingered, full of unspoken fears. As he vanished into the trees, Elara paced the cabin, anxiety gnawing. The bond pulsed within her, a cosmic tether that made his absence ache like a physical wound. Hours stretched, the sun climbing high. To distract herself, Elara sketched, the silver wolf, Thorne's human form merging in fluid lines, capturing the duality she now cherished. But a rustle outside jolted her. Mira appeared at the door, expression grim. "Elara, Thorne sent me. Riven's playing dirty. He's demanded a witness from our side. You? Me?" Elara's heart raced. "Why?" Mira shifted uncomfortably. "The bond. He senses it, wants to test its strength. Thorne's against it, but pack law. You have to come." Reluctance warred with resolve. Elara grabbed her jacket, following Mira into the woods. The path to the old oak was ancient, roots twisting like veins. Suspense built with each step. What game was Riven playing? And what secret might the parley unveil? They arrived at a massive oak, its branches sprawling like a crown. Thorne stood rigid, facing Riven, a towering man with dark hair and eyes like coals, flanked by two shifted wolves. Thorne's gaze snapped to Elara, flashing with anger and protectiveness. "What is she doing here?" Riven smirked, his voice oily. Pack law, Blackwood. The bonded must witness. Or is your human too weak? Thorne growled, stepping between them. Leave her out of this. We're here for peace. Peace? Riven laughed. After your father stole our territory? No, but I'll offer terms. Yield the eastern ridge, and I'll spare your mate. His eyes raked over Elara, malice gleaming. Or refuse, and the bond's curse will claim her anyway. You know the old lore. Humans dilute the bloodline. Force a severing ritual under the moon. Thorne's face paled, the secret cracking open, the bond's hidden peril, a ritual that could tear them apart to preserve pack purity. That's a lie, he snarled, but doubt edged his voice. Alara's world tilted, the revelation a dagger. Thorne, is it true? He turned, pain etching his features. It's complicated. An ancient rule, rarely invoked. I was going to tell you, Riven interrupted with a signal. His wolves lunged. Chaos erupted, Thorne shifting mid-leap, silver fur flashing as he met the attack. Elara dodged a snapping jaw, grabbing a branch to defend herself. Mira joined the fray, claws extended in partial shift. The fight was fierce, Thorne's power overwhelming one wolf, but Riven circled, waiting. See, the bond weakens you, he taunted, shifting to dark fur and pouncing. Thorne threw him off, but a slash caught his shoulder, blood flowing. Elara cried out, swinging her branch to distract Riven. Stop this! Riven shifted back, grinning. Brave, but futile. With a whistle, his remaining wolf retreated. Consider this a warning. Full moon's coming. Choose wisely, or the ritual will. As Riven vanished, Thorne reverted to human, collapsing against the oak, wounded but alive. Elara rushed to him, tearing cloth for bandages. The ritual. Why didn't you say? He grasped her hand, eyes pleading. I thought I could prevent it. The bond's power, it's worth the risk. But now, we have to prepare. They returned to the cabin, Mira scouting ahead. Inside, as Elara tended his wounds, the bond deepened in the face of adversity, kisses interspersed with whispers of love and fear. Yet the ritual's shadow loomed, a suspenseful veil over their future, hinting at a betrayal Thorne might enact to save her. Walking away, sacrificing his heart for her humanity. Outside, the moon waxed fuller, drawing them toward an emotional breakthrough or heartbreak. Chapter 9. Bonds tested. Elara pressed the cloth against Thorne's shoulder, the fabric soaking up the last traces of blood from the slash Riven had inflicted. The cabin's fire crackled softly, casting dancing shadows that mirrored the turmoil in her mind. The ritual, an ancient severing to protect the pack's bloodline, hung over them like a storm cloud, its implications sinking in with every passing moment. Thorne sat stoic on the edge of the bed, his golden eyes fixed on her, but she could see the cracks in his armor, the slight tremor in his hands, the way he avoided her gaze when the topic veered too close. It's not inevitable, he said quietly, as if reading her thoughts. His voice was a low rumble, meant to reassure, but laced with the weight of unspoken fears. The ritual's a last resort, buried in old lore. I've led this pack through worse without invoking it. Elara set the cloth aside, her fingers lingering on his skin, tracing the rapid healing edge of the wound. The curse's magic fascinated and terrified her. How it mended him so swiftly, yet bound him to rules that could tear them apart. But Riven knows about it. He's using it as a weapon. What if the pack demands it? Mira's face last night. They fear me weakening you. Thorne captured her hand, bringing it to his lips in a gentle kiss that sent warmth spiraling through her. They don't know you like I do. Your strength, it's not a weakness. It's what the pack needs. He pulled her onto the bed beside him, their bodies aligning in familiar comfort. The air thickened with intimacy, the kind built from shared secrets and battles won together. Elara, this bond, it's more than fate's whim. It's choosing each other, every day. She nestled against his chest, listening to the steady thrum of his heart, a rhythm that had become her anchor in this whirlwind world. Then choose to tell me everything. No more half-truths. What does the ritual involve? Blood? Magic? And why does it feel like you're still hiding something? He hesitated, his arm tightening around her. The suspense coiled tighter. a veil over whatever deeper secret he guarded. Perhaps the ritual's true price, or a personal vow tied to his past betrayal. It requires a full moon ceremony at the grove. The Alpha severs the soul link with a blade forged from moonstone, invoking the spirits. It erases the pull but leaves scars, emotional ones. My mother survived it, but she was never the same. His voice dropped to a whisper. I won't let it happen to us. But if the pack turns, I might have to make a choice that hurts. The words stung, hinting at a sacrifice he contemplated. Perhaps leaving her to protect the pack. Or worse, invoking the ritual himself. Elara lifted her head, searching his eyes. A choice like what? Walking away? After everything? Thorne's free hand cupped her cheek, thumb brushing away a tear she hadn't realized had fallen. I'd rather fight the world than lose you. But Alpha duty, it's ingrained, like the shift itself. Vulnerability softened his features, the guarded Alpha peeling back to reveal the man beneath. You've changed me, Elara. Made me want more than survival. A future, with you. Their lips met in a kiss born of desperation and devotion. Slow at first, a tender exploration that deepened as emotions surged. Elara's hands roamed his back, feeling the play of muscles under scars from old fights, each one a story of resilience. Thorne responded with equal fervor, his touch reverent, as if worshipping the human fragility that had captured his primal heart. The bond pulsed between them, a cosmic thread tightening, weaving their souls closer in the face of uncertainty. Yet even in the passion, restraint held. They pulled back, breaths ragged, foreheads pressed together in silent promise. The afternoon waned into evening, the sun dipping behind the mountains in a blaze of orange. To ease the tension, Thorne suggested a walk, not far, just to the nearby stream where they could talk without the cabin's confining walls. Elara agreed, slipping her hand into his as they stepped into the crisp air. The forest enveloped them, leaves crunching underfoot, the scent of pine mingling with the faint musk of distant wolves. As they strolled, conversation flowed like the water beside them, deeper revelations shared in the safety of nature. Thorne spoke of his youth, the thrill of first shifts under his father's guidance, the loneliness after his death in a border skirmish with Riven's predecessors. I took the Alpha role too young, he admitted, skipping a stone across the stream. Built walls to protect the pack, but they isolated me. Until you crashed into my life, literally. Elara laughed softly, the sound lightening the mood. That storm feels like a lifetime ago. I was running from ghosts, thinking the woods would swallow me whole. Instead, they gave me you. She paused, vulnerability surfacing. Marcus broke me in ways I didn't see coming. Made me doubt love, trust. But with you, it's like piecing myself back together. The bond helps, but it's your heart that heals me. Thorne stopped, turning her to face him. The stream's babble provided a soothing backdrop as he drew her close. And yours heals mine. That betrayal from before, she didn't just leave. She exposed pack secrets to Riven, nearly destroying us. I vowed never to bond again, but fate had other plans. His eyes held hers, golden depth swirling with emotion. I love you, Elara. Human or not, you're my mate. The confession hung in the air, a milestone in their slow burn journey. Elara's heart soared, tears of joy mingling with fear. I love you too, she whispered, the words sealing the emotional arc they'd built. They kissed again, under the canopy's dappled light, the bond deepening into something unbreakable, yet tested by the looming ritual. As dusk fell, they returned to the cabin, the weight of Riven's threat pressing anew. Mira arrived unannounced, her expression urgent. Alpha, the elders want a meeting. Whispers of the ritual are spreading. Some say it's the only way to avert war. Thorne's jaw clenched, his hand finding Elara's in silent support. Tell them I'll address it tomorrow. No decisions without me. Mira nodded, but her glance at Elara was laced with doubt. Be careful. Riven's scouts are probing deeper. And the moon. It's calling stronger. After she left, Thorne paced, agitation rolling off him like waves. Elara approached, wrapping her arms around his waist from behind. We'll face them together. But Thorne, if there's more to the ritual, something personal, tell me now. He turned, conflict warring in his eyes. It's not just the severing, The alpha who invokes it loses a piece of their soul. My father considered it once, but couldn't. It would weaken me, perhaps permanently. The admission cracked the suspense wider. Was this the full truth, or another layer? But for you, I'd endure it. Elara shook her head, pulling him to the couch. No sacrifices that break us. We find another way. They sat entwined, the fire's warmth mirroring the glow of their love, conversations turning to dreams of peace. A pack that accepted her. A life beyond feuds. Sleep came in fits, bodies close under the quilts. But Thorne's restlessness betrayed his inner turmoil. In the quiet hours, he whispered, "If it comes to it, I'd choose you over everything." Yet doubt lingered, a seed of potential betrayal. Would duty force his hand? Outside, howls rose, Riven's pack circling closer, the full moon's approach heightening the stakes. The bond was their strength, but the ritual's shadow threatened to eclipse it, leading toward a life-threatening event that would demand mutual trust, or shatter it forever. Chapter 10. Eclipse of Trust. The elders' meeting loomed like the approaching full moon, its silver glow already visible on the horizon as twilight bled into night. Elara stood by the cabin window, arms crossed against the chill seeping through the glass, watching shadows lengthen in the forest. Thorne had left at dawn for the gathering, his kiss goodbye lingering on her lips, a mix of passion and farewell that twisted her gut. "I'll convince them," he'd promised, his golden eyes fierce with determination. But the ritual's shadow clung to him, a secret burden he carried alone, hinting at depths he hadn't fully shared. What if the cost was more than losing a piece of his soul? What if it demanded her departure, a self-imposed exile to save the pack? Hours ticked by in agonizing slowness. Elara tried sketching to distract herself, outlines of wolves under a crimson sky, Thorne's form blending human and beast, but her hand trembled, smudging the lines. The bond pulsed within her, an invisible cord tugging at her heart, amplifying her anxiety. She loved him, deeply, irrevocably, yet doubt crept in. Was their connection a blessing or a curse, dooming them to choices neither wanted? A knock shattered the silence. Mira, her face etched with urgency. "Elara, you need to come. The meeting's turning ugly. Riven's spies have stirred the pot. Half the elders want the ritual now." Elara's blood ran cold. "Thorne?" "Fighting for you," Mira said, glancing over her shoulder. "But pack law. If they vote, he can't override alone. Hurry." They raced through the woods, the path familiar yet treacherous in the dimming light. Branches clawed at Elara's jacket, mirroring the fear clawing her insides. The bond guided her, a magnetic pull toward Thorne, deepening with every step. By the time they reached the clearing, a ring of ancient stones where the pack convened, the moon hung low, bathing the scene in ethereal silver. Thorne stood at the center, surrounded by a dozen shifters in human form, their faces a mosaic of suspicion and loyalty. An elder, grizzled and stern, pointed accusingly. "The human dilutes our blood. The old laws demand severance before the moon peaks, or Riven will strike our weakness." Thorne's growl reverberated, his body taut like a bowstring. "She's my mate. The bond strengthens us. Fate chose her. Invoke the ritual and you weaken me, your alpha." Elara burst into the circle, breath ragged. "Stop. I'm not here to weaken anyone. Let me prove it." All eyes turned to her, murmurs rippling like wind through leaves. Thorne's gaze locked on hers, relief and horror mingling. "Elara, no. Go back. It's not safe." She stepped forward, chin high, the vulnerability of her humanity laid bare. "If this bond is real, let it stand. I've seen your world, Thorne. The shifts, the curses. It terrifies me, but I choose it. I choose you." Her voice wavered, emotions surging, the pain of past betrayals, the healing in his arms, the cosmic pull that made her feel whole. Tears stung her eyes as she addressed the pack. "Judge me by my actions, not my blood," an elder scoffed. "Actions? A human can't survive our trials. Prove your worth. Face the moon's call alone in the wilds tonight. If you return unbroken, perhaps the spirits approve." Thorne lunged forward. "That's suicide." "Riven's out there. Enough!" the elder barked. "She offers, we accept. Or the ritual proceeds at dawn." Elara met Thorne's desperate gaze, nodding faintly. I'll do it. For us. The pack dispersed, leaving them in the moonlit clearing. Thorne pulled her into his arms, his hold fierce, as if imprinting her against him. This is madness. The wild's at full moon. Instincts run wild. I can't protect you there. Pack law forbids interference. She cupped his face, thumbs tracing his jaw. Then trust me. Like I trusted you with your secret. The bond thrummed, deepening in the shared fear, their foreheads touching in silent communion. I love you, Thorne. Enough to fight for this. His kiss was urgent, laced with desperation, lips claiming hers, hands roaming her back as if memorizing every curve. It built slowly, passion tempered by tenderness, a vow exchanged in breaths and touches. Come back to me, he whispered against her skin. You're my heart now. Without you, the alpha means nothing. As the moon climbed higher, Elara ventured into the wilds alone, the forest swallowing her like a living entity. Trees loomed, their branches skeletal under the silver light, and distant howls echoed. Riven's pack, perhaps, or wilder beasts. Suspense coiled in her chest. Thorne's secret world felt more tangible here, the air thick with primal energy. She clutched a small dagger he'd slipped her only defense. Hours blurred into a haze of rustles and shadows. Exhaustion gnawed, but the bond anchored her, a warm thread pulling toward Thorne, reminding her of stolen moments, breakfast shared, scars confessed, love declared. It deepened her resolve, transforming fear into fuel. A growl shattered the quiet, the dark wolf, Riven in shifted form, eyes gleaming with triumph. He circled, snarling. Alone, human? Your alpha's laws bind him, but not me. Elara backed against a tree, dagger raised. This isn't your fight. Leave us be. Riven lunged, jaws snapping. She slashed wildly, the blade grazing his muzzle, drawing a yelp. But he was relentless, pinning her arm, hot breath on her neck. Pain exploded as claws raked her side, blood blooming warm and sticky. In that moment, the bond surged, a cosmic flare screaming for Thorne. Visions flashed, him as wolf, golden eyes pleading, their kisses healing touches. Thorne, she cried, the word a beacon. Miles away, Thorne paced the clearing's edge, Packlaw chaining him. But the bond's pull hit like lightning, her pain echoing in his veins. Damn the laws, he growled, shifting in a blur of silver fur, racing through the woods. He arrived in a frenzy, tackling Riven off her. The two alphas clashed, fur flying, snarls deafening, as Elara clutched her wound, vision blurring. Thorne fought with feral grace, but Riven's cunning landed blows, reopening old scars. Elara staggered up, grabbing a fallen branch. Enough! She swung, cracking Riven's flank. Distracted, he faltered. Thorne seized the opening, pinning him, jaws at his throat. Yield, Thorne snarled, voice distorted in wolf form. Riven shifted back, defeated. This isn't over. The ritual ends here, Thorne growled, releasing him. Riven slunk away, tail low. Thorne shifted human, rushing to Elara. You're hurt. He tore his shirt, binding her side with trembling hands. She winced, but smiled through pain. I knew you'd come. The bond. It called you. He pulled her close, kisses feathering her forehead. Always. You proved everything. To them, to me. The event forged their trust anew. The bond unbreakable. Emotions cresting in mutual reliance. As he carried her back, the pack awaited, elders nodding approval. The spirits speak, one said. The bond stands. But in the quiet triumph, suspense lingered. Riven's retreat felt temporary, and the ritual's lore whispered of one final test under the moon's peak. A revelation Thorne still guarded, a secret that could demand the ultimate sacrifice. Chapter 11. Moon's verdict, Elara clung to Thorne as he carried her through the moonlit forest, her side throbbing with each step despite the makeshift bandage. The pain was sharp, but the warmth of his arms, the steady beat of his heart against her cheek, grounded her. The pack's approval echoed in her mind, the elders' nod, their murmured acknowledgement of the bond's strength, but Riven's parting words gnawed at her. This isn't over. What final test lingered in the ritual's lore? And why did Thorne's eyes still hold a flicker of secrecy, as if the full moon, now cresting overhead, demanded a truth he wasn't ready to face? At the cabin, Thorne set her gently on the couch, the fire's glow casting a halo around his tense form. He knelt, inspecting her wound with careful hands, his touch both clinical and tender. "It's not deep," he murmured, cleaning it with water and herbs Mira had brought. "You'll heal, but it'll scar." His voice carried a weight beyond the physical, as if the word scar evoked his own hidden wounds. Elara caught his wrist, her gaze locking onto his. "Thorne, we're past hiding. The pack accepted me, but Riven mentioned a test. What aren't you telling me? Is there more to the ritual?" He sat back on his heels, conflict etching his face. The bond thrummed between them, a cosmic pulse that demanded honesty, yet his hesitation deepened the suspense. The ritual, it's not just severance. There's an old prophecy tied to it. A bonded pair can solidify their link under the moon's peak, merging souls fully. But if the pack doubts, or if the bond wavers, it could consume one to save the other. His eyes darkened, the admission raw. "My mother survived it, but lost her spark. I didn't want to scare you, or make you feel trapped." Alara's breath hitched, the revelation a knife's edge. "Consume? As in one of us dies?" "Not always," he said quickly, grasping her hands. "If the bond is true, the spirits bless it. But doubt, fear, betrayal can twist it. That's why I fought so hard tonight, to prove you're my strength, not my weakness." His voice broke, vulnerability spilling forth. "I love you, Elara, more than the pack, more than duty. But if the spirits judge us unworthy," she pulled him up, their faces inches apart, "then we face it together. No more secrets. We've healed each other, through Marcus's betrayal, your past. We're stronger than any curse." Her words were a vow, deepening the emotional arc that had grown from their first storm-soaked meeting. She kissed him, slow and deliberate, pouring every ounce of trust into it. His response was fervent, hands framing her face, lips tasting of desperation and devotion. The bond flared, a tangible force weaving their souls tighter, as if the moon itself bore witness. They spent the night by the fire, bodies entwined under a quilt, sharing quiet confessions. Thorne spoke of his fears, losing her to the ritual's cost, failing the pack as his father had. Elara countered with her own, the lingering doubt Marcus had instilled, the courage it took to embrace this primal world. Each word strengthened their connection, a tapestry of scars and hopes. "I want a life with you," she whispered, fingers tracing his chest. "Human or wolf, cabin or forest. Just us." He kissed her temple, voice a low rumble. "Then we claim it. Tonight at the Grove. We'll face the moon's verdict, prove our bond." But his eyes held a shadow, a final secret, perhaps the prophecy's full weight, or a choice he dreaded, as midnight approached. They hiked to the sacred grove, the full moon blazing like a spotlight. The pack gathered, silent and expectant, their breath misting in the chill air. Mira stood nearby, her nod a quiet support. The stone altar glowed faintly, runes pulsing with lunar energy. Ilara's wound ached, but the bond's warmth dulled it, her hand clasped in Thorne's. The eldest elder, a woman with silver hair, stepped forward. "The bond is challenged. The spirits demand proof. Step to the altar, and let the moon decide." Thorne squeezed Ilara's hand, his voice low. "Together?" "Always," she replied, heart pounding. They approached the altar, the air thickening with magic. Thorne drew a moonstone blade from his belt, the ritual dagger, its edge glinting. "We offer our bond," he intoned, voice steady despite the stakes. "Judge it true. Spirits of the land." Elara felt the bond surge, a tidal wave of emotion, love, trust, fear, swirling within her. She added her voice, raw but resolute. "I choose him, human to wolf, heart to heart. Let fate bind us." The runes flared, and a wind howled through the grove, unnatural and alive. Thorne raised the blade, not to sever but to nick their palms, mingling their blood on the stone. The act was intimate, a blood bond sealing their love. Light erupted, enveloping them, and Elara saw flashes, visions of past lives, their souls entwined across centuries, defying betrayal and loss. The bond was eternal, fated, unbreakable. But a snarl shattered the vision. Riven charged from the shadows, shifted and furious, his pack at his heels. "No human claims our blood," he roared, lunging for Elara. Thorne shifted in a blur, Silverwolf meeting Dark in a clash of fangs and claws. The pack surged forward, some defending Thorne, others hesitating. Elara grabbed the moonstone blade, slashing at a wolf that snapped at her legs. Pain flared in her side, but the bond fueled her, a primal strength she hadn't known she possessed. Thorne and Riven grappled, blood staining the grove's earth. Alara's scream cut through the chaos as Riven pinned Thorne, jaws aiming for his throat. "No!" She threw herself forward, the blade sinking into Riven's flank. He howled, staggering, giving Thorne the chance to overpower him, pinning him down. "Yield or die," Thorne growled, human voice breaking through wolf form. Riven shifted back, panting, defeated. "Kill me then." "But the prophecy is ours," Thorne snapped. The light from the altar pulsed, engulfing them. The spirits had judged, the bond held true. Riven's pack retreated, tails low, as the elders bowed, accepting Elara as Thorne's mate. Exhausted, Thorne shifted human, pulling Elara into his arms. "It's done," he whispered, kissing her fiercely, blood and sweat mingling. "Your pack now, my mate." Tears streamed down her face, relief and love overwhelming. "I thought I'd lose you." "Never," he vowed, the bond a radiant warmth between them. The pack dispersed, leaving them in the grove's quiet embrace. The final secret, whether Thorne had withheld more, was eclipsed by their victory. The prophecy's cost was paid in trust, not sacrifice. They returned to the cabin as dawn broke, the moon fading. Inside, they collapsed, bodies entwined, kisses soft and healing. "We'll build that life," Thorne murmured, hand tracing her scar. "You, me, the pack. A new start." Elara smiled, the wounds of her past, Marcus, betrayal, fading in the light of their bond. "Together," she agreed, their love a beacon against the forest's shadows. Yet as they slept, a faint howl echoed, hinting at unresolved tensions. Riven's defeat, but not his end. Their future awaited, a gentle wrap-up of peace, but with the promise of new challenges beyond the horizon.